Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine. Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine. Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityoramamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate, who came to establish religion universal. Let us offer our prayers. Let us appeal to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Today I have chosen the topic Satya, the virtue of truthfulness. If you are really aspiring to realize the divine, to have the vision of God, certainly you should develop godly qualities to see God. That means you have to be well established in character, cultivating noble virtues, which are very important in spiritual life. So in this modern age, most tough thing to practice, to cultivate is truthfulness. If you examine in the whole day how much you have been truthful or otherwise, well, these are all noble virtues which we have to cultivate. So we must really aspire to see God, and then only all these things will be easy to practice. Even if it is difficult, we have to practice it to free ourselves from suffering. There is a story in Mahabharata. The young Kauravas and Pandavas, they are cousins. Pandavas 5 in number, Kauravas 100. They were learning their first lessons. The teacher pronounced the Vedic text, Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. This passage comes in Taittiriya Upanishad, which means speak the truth, follow the path of righteousness. Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. That means you must consciously be aware of your dealings. You have to be righteous and you have to be truthful. So, after chanting this, he asked the students to repeat, and everyone repeated. Then the teacher asked them to memorize it, that passage. Then next day, he asked what they had learned the previous day. All of them said, Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. But there was one person who did not say it. And who was he? He was none other than Yudhishthira. And the Acharya was surprised. So he asked him, why could he not learn such a simple lesson? What Yudhishthira said in reply was an indication of his future greatness as the exemplar par excellence of truth. So Yudhishthira plainly confessed that he had not yet learned to speak the truth. Others might have memorized the few words, but that certainly was not the purport of this short but profound precept, Satyam Vada, speak the truth. Unless one speaks the truth in day-to-day life, what use was it to merely memorize a few words? It took years of relentless practice and untold suffering for Yudhishthira to practice this precept in life, to truly learn that kindergarten lesson. Speak the truth. This is indeed the first moral lesson which a child learns on the lap of the mother or from its teacher. In every civilized society, truth is highly respected, and yet in day-to-day life there is no other moral value which is more neglected than truth. The reason is that to observe truth is as difficult as it is easy to utter the word truth. According to Sri Ramakrishna, the observance of truth is the austerity most suited for and efficacious in this modern age. Srimad Bhagavatam is also of the opinion that the four limbs of Dharma, that of the four limbs of Dharma, only one remains in Kali Yuga, and that is the observance of truth. Mahatma Gandhiji, the greatest exponent and advocate of truth in modern times, he goes a step further. He equates truth with God. Nothing is or exists in reality except truth. That is why Sat or truth is perhaps the most important name of God. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Most beautiful words. In fact, it is more correct to say that truth is God than to say that God is truth. Hence, according to Gandhiji, none can attain God without practicing truthfulness. So first you become godly, then only you will realize God. And since he equates truth with God, he gives it precedence over other moral values. Although, according to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, ahimsa or non-violence is the foremost value. While truth in the sense of absolute reality, it's called in Sanskrit Paramarthika Satya, may be the same as God. There is no way of knowing or experiencing it in our day-to-day life when we are confronted everywhere with what may be termed relative empirical truth, or in Sanskrit term it's called Vyavaharika Satya, conditioned by our mind and senses. If X is the reality and Y our mind, what we know is X plus Y and never X. Now let us study a few examples. The sky has no color, but it appears blue. The sun neither sets or rises, and yet due to the rotation of the earth, the sun appears to rise and set. Although the universe is made up of subatomic particles, to our limited vision, it appears to be made up of gross elements and structures. Our social conduct is also influenced by our conditionings. A man, for example, is seen as a father by his son, as a son by his father, as a husband by his wife, as a brother by his brother, as a boss by his servant, as a subordinate by his boss, and so on. Same person. And yet, he is not only all these, he is also something more. The objects of the world are neither good nor bad, but we project our values on them and consider them either desirable, undesirable, or neutral. There is a third category of reality. First we said Paramarthika Satya. Second one we said Vyavaharika Satya. The third one, it is called Pratibhasika Satya, apparent reality. To give an example, a rope may appear as a snake in the dark. A piece of mother of pearl may appear like silver. Water may appear to be present in a mirage, and so on. Dreams appear as real. These are only apparent realities. Pratibhasika Satya. The goal of the practice of truthfulness is to attain to the absolute reality, that is Paramarthika Satya, by observing empirical, relative truth and by giving up the apparent truth. Ideally, truthfulness must be practiced in its totality. What do you mean by that? It should be practiced not only in thought, in word, but also in deed. So, it should be practiced in thought, word and deed. Truthfulness indeed consists in observing the code of conduct, injunctions and inhibitions of one's station in life. It also includes observance of vows and fulfillment of promises and resolves. For example, great Bhishma, the great character in Mahabharata, the Grand Sir, he is called. His observance of the lifelong vow of continence and the observance of truth by King Harishchandra, another famous character, are a few of the highest and brightest examples of truthful conduct. The observance of the vow of Pativratya, that is, faithfulness to the husband by a chaste wife. Also, falls under the same category. A person who is practicing truthfulness, he begins it by observing and acting according to his spoken word. A few examples from the life of Sri Ramakrishna are very illuminating. If by chance Sri Ramakrishna says he will go to Pine Grove, he must go there even if there is no further need of it, lest he may lose attachment to truth. He has said this in the Gospel. Sri Ramakrishna says, if once I say that I shall not eat, then it is impossible for me to eat, even if I am hungry. Again, if I ask a particular man to take my water jug to the Pine Grove, he alone must carry it. If another man carries it, he will have to take it back. While this might be the technique to be followed by a beginner, the actual observance of truth consists in following one's conscience. Once Swami Adbhutananda, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he was invited by a devotee for lunch. The Swami accepted the invitation and he promised to reach the devotee's home at the appointed hour. But it so happened, heavy rain started pouring and the devotee thought probably the Swami might not come. The rain was too terrible, like a storm, pouring and pouring with thunder. But the devotee was surprised to see the Swami coming to his home at the appointed hour, wading through knee-deep water. When devotee asked, does truthfulness consist in keeping one's expressed word? Swamiji replied, Adbhutanji replied, of course not. To observe truthfulness means so many things. Don't think that to act upon to one's expressed words is all of truthfulness. It really means keeping one's resolve. That resolve may be expressed in words or may be kept in the mind, and it might be as well find expression in work, leading ultimately to the fulfillment of the resolve which was never expressed in words. Have an understanding of the real ideal, and having known it, stick to it under all circumstances and work for its realization. This is what is known as observance of truth, not merely keeping one's words. This truth is God's power, God Himself. Mahatma Gandhiji is also of the opinion that truthfulness consists in following one's conscience and acting according to what one considers just and righteous, however difficult it might be. If truth were a bed of roses, everyone would follow it. We must stick to truth, even if the heavens were to fall, he would say. According to the Bhagavad Gita, our speech must be truthful, agreeable, beneficial to all, and must not cause any disturbance to the speaker or the listener. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat ma bruyat satyam apriyam. It is not advisable to speak an unpleasant truth nor a pleasant falsehood. Vyasa Maharshi, in his commentary on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, lays down certain conditions for truthful speech. The first condition is, it must be according to what is heard, seen or inferred. Second, it must not be deceitful or meaningless to the listener. And thirdly, it must be beneficial and not harmful. It is obvious that these conditions cannot be easily fulfilled. One must therefore be very careful in his speech. Sri Ramakrishna did not approve of a lie spoken even in a joke. He once took Rakal, his favorite disciple, to task for speaking a lie jokingly. One may likewise speak an untruth prompted by greed, fear or delusion. To give an example, Peter, the foremost disciple of Jesus Christ, lied out of fear and denied thrice that he was Christ's disciple. Often during mental agitation and excitement, we may lose control over our speech and may start talking nonsense. Thus it is obvious that speaking truth is not easy and demands great self-control, carefulness and alertness. It is wiser to be always on guard and speak only when required, and no more than what is absolutely essential. No man can safely speak, but he who loves silence, says Thomas Kempis. While it may be difficult to adhere so strictly to truth always, especially for householders, they must at least avoid cheating others, giving false evidence in or out of the court of law, forging documents, etc. This is the second condition laid down for truthful speech by Vyasa, and is the very basis of healthy ethical conduct. Yudhishthira's statement in the Mahabharata war, Ashwatthama, man or an elephant, has been killed. Ashwatthamo hata kunjaraha. Kunjara means elephant. The elephant by name Ashwatthama died. That's the meaning. It may apparently be a truthful one, but since it was spoken to deceive Dronacharya, it falls under the category of falsehood. Similarly, if one makes a true remark in a language unintelligible to the listener, it would not carry any meaning and would not be considered true. The third and the most important condition for truthfulness is that it must not be harmful to anyone. It is even said that truth is not speaking according to facts, nor is speaking contrary to facts falsehood, but that which conduces to maximum good of creatures must be considered truth. Why? Because the highest truth is that all creatures are one, that there is a solidarity of existence. One great difficulty with truth is that it is often bitter. Stark realities like disease, old age and death are bitter. Injustice, exploitation and brutal disparities prevalent in the world are bitter truths. Every human being has weaknesses, faults and defects in character and conduct, which too are unpleasant. The person who tries to observe truth not only has to bear a lot of hardships, but often hurts others too. Observing a vow, keeping one's commitments and promises entails a lot of struggle, internal and external. Therefore, observance of truth as a personal discipline may be laudable, but it must be tempered with modesty and mercy if it conflicts with the interests of others or goes against the greatest good of the greatest number. Modesty or Shila is an equally noble value which is concerned with the feeling of and the well-being of others. Let us try to understand this with the help of an illustration. Kaikeyi, one of the queens of Dashrath, she asked 2 boons from King Dashrath. The poor king was trapped. He had promised the boons and could not retract his words. Although he knew that he had been cheated, he could not break his promise. And while holding on to truth, personal truth, he renounced Rama and also his life. Was the action of Dashrath justified? While the king's supreme sacrifice is laudable from the standpoint of personal dharma, the personal observance of truth, it cannot be justified from a social standpoint. In succumbing to the intrigues of Manthara and Kaikeyi, King Dashrath was perpetrating injustice which could have far-reaching consequences, not only for the race of Raghus, but for the society at large. Contrary to Dashratha's and even Rama's conduct, Bharat refused to obey the injunction of the second boon granted by the king to his mother. His Bharat was to become prince, Bharat didn't want that. He saw through the foul play and decided to undo the harm already done by bringing back Rama, who had already left for the forest in compliance with the first boon. But could he bring back Rama? No. Rama was not willing to return. His argument was that if he were to return at the entreaties of Bharata, the future generations would turn back from an austere and noble path on some pretext or the other. Bharata too realized that there was greater good of the greater number if Rama remained in the forest, and did not return before the expiry of the period of exile. Thus the concept of modesty or Shila must temper truth and justice, and social good must prevail over personal observance of truth. Otherwise, such an observance of truth may turn out to be a vice instead of a virtue. Every rule has exceptions, and this is true of the practice of truth also. Fables and stories are often used to convey certain values, especially to the children. Eulogies and exaggerated statements in the epic stories and mythologies amount to the use of untruth to explain higher eternal moral values. Mahabharata describes Sri Krishna as making a large number of statements and performing many actions which do not strictly fall under the category of truth, but which were aimed at the greater good of society. As has been pointed out, a person who practices truthfulness must be extremely careful in his speech and conduct. Such observances naturally make him extremely alert. His whole life becomes an intense and continuous tapas and austerity. He has to use his willpower at every step. Thus a sincere practice of truthfulness takes an aspirant into a new realm, a mental world as it were. Practicing truthfulness initially causes a certain amount of inner tension due to a conflict between the higher ideal and unconquered and suppressed desires and passions. Such inner conflicts find expression sometimes as forgetfulness, slips of the tongue, unusual dreams, etc. The aspirant may even become a hypocrite. Swami Vivekananda has said that a large number of people who take to religion become hypocrites. Society compels us to hide our defects and exhibit only the brighter side of our character. We are not able to make speech and thought one. The practice of truth is essentially the sadhana of making thought, word and deed correspond. Sri Ramakrishna never cared for the opinion of others, nor tried to act as a cultured gentleman to please others. When Maharishi Devendranath Tagore invited him to the prayer meeting of the Brahma Samaj, Sri Ramakrishna frankly said that although he was willing to attend it, it would not be possible for him to act or dress as a gentleman. Sri Ramakrishna's perfect harmony of thought, word and deed is amazing. He was established in perfect chastity. To test his self-control, Sri Ramakrishna allowed Sri Sharada Devi, his own wife, to live with him in the same room for months, seeing the Holy Mother asleep by his side. The master addressed his own mind and started discriminating. This is, O mind, a female body. People took upon it as an object of great enjoyment, a thing highly prized, and they die for enjoying it. But if one goes for it, one has to remain obsessed with the body consciousness. One cannot go beyond it and realize God, who is existence, knowledge, bliss. Do not, O mind, harbor one thought within and a contrary attitude without. Say in truth whether you want to have it or God. If you want, it is here before you. Have it. He discriminated thus, but scarcely had he entertained in his mind the idea of touching the person of the Holy Mother, when his mind shrank and at once lost itself so deeply in samadhi that it did not regain normal consciousness that night. This narration is given in Great Master. The significant element in this episode is the fact that Sri Ramakrishna addressed his mind and asked it to act according to its wish, so that there may not be the slightest dichotomy between thought and deed, conduct and character. What we intend to stress is that a harmony between thought, word and deed is the most important aspect of the practice of truthfulness. without which none can get established in truth. Various means have been suggested for resolving the conflict between thought, word and deed. The behavioristic school of Western psychology emphasizes behavior or conduct and recommends molding thoughts according to it. Sigmund Freud has advocated that our desires and passions must be freely expressed. They are natural. To consider them evil and to suppress them causes conflicts and complexes. Hence, according to Freud, if we don't suppress them and act according to them, there won't be conflicts. Others suggest that we must become impartial witnesses of our desires, passions and conflicts so that we may transcend them. The Indian yogic technique is, however, different. In this, the mind is trained to contemplate the absolute truth, Paramarthika Satya, absolute truth. The first step is to totally give up daydreaming, brooding over the past, or planning for the future. A practitioner of truth must carefully avoid reading fiction and imaginative literature and must devote as much time as possible to reading spiritual literature, which would help his mind to be in tune with absolute reality. The life and character of such great heroes like Rama, Harishchandra, Yudhishthira, who observed truth, must be read and meditated upon. Patanjali has recommended the technique of raising contrary thoughts when ideas inimical to moral values hinder their practice. When one experiences feelings of hatred, etc., and is tortured by the agonizing fiery passions which lead to wrong courses of conduct, such as, I shall kill him who hurts me, I shall speak untruth, I shall take things belonging to others, he should encourage contrary thoughts. He should contemplate, roasted on the pitiless burning coals of the cycles of birth. I took refuge in the virtues of yoga by promising security to all living beings. After having abjured such perverse thoughts, I am behaving like a dog in betaking myself to them. As a dog licks his vomit, so it is for me to take up thoughts and lines of action discarded by me as evil. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, truth alone triumphs. Truth alone triumphs. Satyameva jayate. Shankaracharya clarifies this statement by saying that the person who observes truth triumphs. Apparently and initially, people resorting to falsehood may succeed. But history proves the fact that ultimately righteous and truthful people become victorious. According to Patanjali, when truthfulness is achieved, the words of the yogi acquire the power of making them fruitful. This actually means that whatever such a yogi might speak comes to pass. If he says to a person, may you be righteous, the person would indeed become righteous. He who practices truthfulness in thought, word and deed for a minimum of 12 years, whose thoughts and words are always strictly in accordance with truth, and who would not speak an untruth even to save his life, such a person develops a tremendous will. His simple, truthful words have tremendous power and produce great effect upon the listener, who is compelled to act accordingly. It is sometimes asked, suppose a yogi established in truthfulness were to say, may the sun rise in the west, or let water turn into stone. Will such utterances come true? No. Such a yogi, who has endeavored throughout to avoid all falsehood and act and speak strictly according to truth, would never utter such words against the laws of nature. It is also said, and confirmed too, that even the slips of the tongue and words spoken carelessly in unguarded moments by such sages come true. Here also there is a fallacy. How can there be a slip of the tongue or an unguarded or careless moment in a person who has for decades been extremely careful in his words and deeds? Such utterances might appear casual and unguarded, but they are in reality expressions of his insight into the future events obtained by holding on to truth. His words reflect God's will and anticipate what will happen. Boons and curses by such sages do not go against the law of karma, they only corroborate it. What has been described above is, as a result of the establishment in truthfulness, must be considered as a byproduct of the observance of truth and not its ultimate end. For truth is the aim in itself, it is a goal as well as the means. This way Sri Ramakrishna could offer everything to the Divine Mother, dharma and adharma, virtue and vice, action and inaction, but not truth. Indeed, truth is the highest value, the very basis of all values, and the infinite value of values. So, let us try to practice this virtue of truthfulness. Page 862, page 863. Many people think they cannot have knowledge or understanding of God without reading books. But hearing is better than reading, and seeing is better than hearing. Hearing about Benares is different from reading about it, but seeing Benares is different from either hearing or reading. Those actually engaged in a game of chess do not always judge the moves on the board correctly. The onlookers often judge the moves better than the players. Only people often think themselves very intelligent, but they are attached to the things of the world. They are the actual players and cannot understand their own moves correctly. But holy men who have renounced everything are unattached to the world. They are really more intelligent than worldly people. Since they do not take any part in worldly life, their position is that of onlookers, and so they see things more clearly. Doctor said to the devotees, if he, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, had studied books, he could not have acquired so much knowledge. Faraday communed with nature. That's why he was able to discover many scientific truths. He could not have known so much from the mere study of books. Mathematical formulas only throw the brain into confusion and bar the path of original inquiry. Master said, there is a time when I lay on the ground in the Panchavati and prayed to the Divine Mother, O Mother, reveal to me what the karmis have realized through their ritualistic worship, what the yogis have realized through yoga, and what the jnanis have realized through discrimination. How much I communed with the Divine Mother. How can I describe it all? Oh, what a state I passed through. Sleep left me completely. The Master sang, my sleep is broken. How can I slumber anymore? For now I am wide awake in the sleeplessness of yoga. O Divine Mother, made one with thee in yoga sleep. At last, by slumber I have lulled asleep for evermore. A man has come to me from a country where there is no night. Rituals and devotions have all grown profitless for me. He continued, I have not read books, but people show me respect because I chant the name of the Divine Mother. Shambhu Malik said about me, here is a great hero without a sword or shield. Laughter. The conversation turned to the performance of a drama by Girish Ghosh called The Life of Buddha. The doctor had seen the play and been much pleased with it. The doctor said to Girish, you are a very bad man. Must I go to the theatre every day? Master said to him. What does he say? I don't quite understand. Yam answered. The doctor liked the play very much. Master to Ishan, why don't you say something? Pointing to the doctor. He does not believe that God can incarnate himself in a human form. Ishan said, what shall I say, sir? I don't like to argue anymore. Master said sharply, why? Won't you say the right thing? Ishan said to the doctor. Our faith is shallow on account of our pride. It is said in the Ramayana that a crow named Bhushandi did not at first accept Rama as incarnation of God. Once it incurred Rama's displeasure, it travelled through the different worlds, the lunar, solar and so forth, and through Mount Kailas to escape Rama's wrath. But it found that it could not escape. Then it surrendered itself to him and took refuge at his feet. Rama took the crow in his hand and swallowed it. Thereupon the crow found that it was seated in its own nest in a tree. After its pride had thus been crushed, the bird came to realize that though Rama looked like any other man, yet he contained in his stomach the entire universe, sky, moon, sun, stars, oceans, rivers, men, animals and trees. Should stop here. He entangles in the world, the more and more he becomes worldly. And it becomes more and more difficult for him to get over that worldliness. Unless the worldliness is taken off, one cannot have any spiritual experience. So it is like that. World is meant not for making you more worldly. World is there to make you spiritual, to give you an experience so that you may learn to turn towards God. Turning towards God is a goal of the play of the world. This world play has been enacted by God Himself, so that people can play and learn through play how to come to God. Anyway, that is the truth. Alright. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O may mind be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of pain. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy, consider him as just beneath Thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be the 1,000 years, when the heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet, let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art the heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding beauty of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.